Join our community by subscribing. Every click helps us share more stories like this one. The introduction. The small town of Elderwood lay nestled between craggy hills, cloaked in a perpetual mist that seemed to hang like a shroud over its dilapidated roadside cafes and aged wooden homes. For years, Elderwood had been a quiet retreat, where every face was familiar and secrets whispered in the stagnant air carried like smoke through the narrow streets. But on that bleak autumn morning in 2009, everything changed. The faint flicker of the streetlight spilled onto cobblestones, slick with rain, as the sun barely broke through the clouds, revealing a gruesome sight that would shatter the peaceful facade of the town. A body, lifeless and cold, sprawled near the edge of Bourne Woods. The victim was Amelia Dawson, a beloved local librarian known for her gentle demeanor and infectious laugh. She had vanished 2 nights prior, her absence causing a rippling anxiety that quickened the pulse of the small community. As detectives combed the area, their minds were tangled not only in the mystery of how Amelia had ended up there, but also in why someone would want to harm her. Years of friendships, allegiances, and unspoken tensions began to swirl like the autumn leaves scattered across the ground. With an eerie silence blanketing the town, the sudden spiraling of fear among its residents echoed through the hallways of the libraries and the storefronts, as whispers of potential suspects began to echo louder than the sound of the wind. The victim, Amelia Dawson, had never intended to be the focal point of a tragedy. She had lived in Elderwood her entire life, her roots entrenched in the soil where her family had flourished for generations. With her soft brown hair often tied back in a scruffy bun and round glasses perched on her nose, Amelia was the picture of nurturing simplicity. As the town's librarian, she breathed life into the musty pages of forgotten books, fostering imagination in children and adults alike. The library, a quaint brick building draped in ivy, served as the heart of Elderwood. Shelves filled with novels, histories, and play scripts created a sanctuary for anyone escaping the mundanity of life. It had become Amelia's sanctuary as much as anyone else. Patrons would linger for hours, sipping tea, engaging in quiet conversation, or losing themselves in novels. For Amelia, each book was more than just a collection of words. They were doorways to new worlds, endless possibilities, and vital respite. Friends recalled her laughter echoing during the town's monthly gatherings, an inviting warmth that brought a sense of belonging. Yet beneath her kindness lay a complex tapestry of vulnerability and quiet ambition. In her secluded loneliness, Amelia had begun penning a novel, a passion she shared only with her closest confidantes. The manuscript, however, remained a closely guarded secret ambition, intertwined with fear of judgment. As investigators delved deeper into Amelia's life, they unearthed something unsettling. Familiarity revealed shadows in her relationships areas unexamined, whispers unacknowledged. Behind her radiant smile, an intricate web of emotions, secrets, and perhaps resentments lay waiting to unravel. The crime scene, the scene at Bourne Woods, was cordoned off with bright yellow tape that fluttered in the cold autumn breeze, stark against the landscape that had previously seemed serene and untouched. As officers walked the perimeter, their footsteps muffled by a thick carpet of damp leaves, they breathed in the cold, crisp air, tainted now with an unsettling reality. Amelia's body lay just beyond the edge of the packed trail, cradled in a grove of twisted branches, coated in a thin layer of dew. The disarray of surrounding foliage contrasted sharply with the stillness of the victim, who seemed oddly at peace in the grip of death. Her library cardigan, a comfort to her as she moved between shelves and patrons, was eerily bunched around her neck. It was a chilling detail that drew the eyes of the assembled investigators, hinting at a struggle that had unfolded in the dim light of night. Detective Harmon, a seasoned investigator with deep-set eyes and weary shoulders, knelt beside Amelia's body, carefully noting the angle of her limbs and the subtle curl of her fingers. His mind raced through protocols as he cataloged the specifics: the faint marks on her wrists, the bruises forming along her jawline. These signs hinted at a confrontation that had been sudden and violent. Nearby, an evidence technician brushed back the leaves with a gloved hand, revealing a glimmering object half buried in the earth. It was a small silver locket, one Amelia had often worn, now tarnished and dulled by the elements. The team quickly sealed it in an evidence bag, knowing it held the potential for critical clues about both Amelia and who may have been present during her last moment. The atmosphere thickened with tension as the eerie quiet of the woods loomed overhead. Each rustle of leaves, now a reminder of the uncertainties that lay ahead and the darkness that enveloped Elderwood. The early investigation as dawn broke over Elderwood. The once sleepy town was now a hub of activity. News of Amelia Dawson's death spread like wildfire, igniting panic and suspicion among residents. Detective Harmon and his team were swiftly thrust into action, knowing they had to navigate the delicate emotions swirling through the air like fog. Harmon convened a meeting in the library, the last place Amelia had been seen alive. With its walls still echoing her spirit, the venue felt heavy as he addressed a small group composed of deputy officers and forensic experts. Maps of the town were spread across large tables, evidence bags lined up in meticulous order, and Amelia's photo, a rosy-cheeked smile frozen in time, reminded them of the woman whose life had been torn away too soon. The team quickly identified individuals who might have been close to Amelia: her co-workers, the library patrons, and a few longtime friends. They also noted the recent tensions in the tight-knit community, a sudden wave of disputes concerning the potential closure of the library for budget cuts had left many on edge. Rumors within the group hinted at mounting frustrations brewing among her peers, some feeling overlooked or inadequately valued. As interviews commenced, it became clear that Amelia was tragically adored, yet also surrounded by a tangled web of feelings and relationships that could obscure the truth. Each friend told stories of laughter and memories, but they also loaded the air with unarticulated jealousy or resentment, subtle yet potent. Harmon scribbled notes, his brow furrowed as he pieced together a profile of the potential suspect. The lack of any clear motive felt like a labyrinth to navigate, sharpening his focus on the hidden dynamics that could easily be overlooked in the face of collective grief. With each interview, the depth of intrigue grew, as did the urgency to bring justice to a woman who had unknowingly held so many lives in her gentle hand. The dead-ends days turned into weeks, and the early fervor of the investigation began to wane, leaving Detective Harmon grappling with leads that spiraled into disappointing conclusions. Each interview yielded familiar tales of Amelia's kindness, yet the shadows of jealousy and frustration loomed large, shrouding any clear path forward. Harmon sat at his cluttered desk, the dim light of his office a poor substitute for the sunlight cascading outside. He reviewed a mountain of notes, fingertips tracing a web of connections, yet no one seemed to fit the profile of a murderer. Friends would weep, recounting Amelia's unyielding support, yet then falter when asked about their last contact with her. For every thread they unearthed, two more would slip through his fingers, painting a picture that was becoming more abstract than clarity. In the weeks following Amelia's death, the town's demeanor shifted. Grief morphed into unease, whispers of rumors amplified, and hastily drawn conclusions festered like an untreated wound. A few townsfolk began to cast unsure eyes toward each other, hovering just beneath the surface where suspicion chirped. One particular route yielded an unexpected lead, a former colleague of Amelia's, Lucas Hale, who had moved away years prior. Despite being long gone, Lucas had returned for a brief visit shortly before her death. His demeanor during questioning had shown signs of agitation, and subsequent attempts to track him down had hit brick walls. It was as if the earth had swallowed him whole, leading to a perplexing dead end. A reminder that some mysteries lay buried hard and unforgettable. As fall crept toward winter, the veneration surrounding Amelia began to feel heavy, almost suffocating, suffused with unanswered questions that hung like dark clouds over the town. Finding the truth felt ever more elusive, and within the depths of the investigation, Harmon realized that every face he encountered carried both grief and the potential for something darker. A break in the case just as the biting chill of winter began to set in. A gust of hope pierced through the encroaching fog of despair. An unassuming phone call arrived at the police station, shifting the tide of the investigation. It was a tips line call from a local resident who claimed to have seen something odd on the night Amelia disappeared. Detective Harmon's heart quickened as he grabbed a notepad, pen poised. The caller, a woman named Ruth, who lived near the outskirts of Bourne Woods, reported hearing raised voices, followed by emotion just hours before Amelia's body was found. At first, Harmon was skeptical, but Ruth's shaky voice conveyed urgency that warranted further investigation. He arranged to meet her at her home that very afternoon. When Harmon arrived, he was welcomed into a modest, sun-drenched living room, decorated with photographs of family and dog-eared books. The warm atmosphere stood in stark contrast to the chilling account Ruth shared. As she detailed the disconcerting noises, her hands trembled, and shadows of worry etched deep lines on her forehead. Harmon noted that she was adamant she had recognized one of the voices, a male, a frequent visitor to the library. Ruth recalled snippets of the bickering, her description suddenly diving into familiar territory. Yeah, it sounded like someone was angry, she recalled. And then I heard the name Lucas. The name hit Harmon like a jolt. Lucas Hale, whom they had so recently struggled to locate. This revelation reignited the investigation, illuminating previously shadowy corners. Who had Lucas been arguing with? And why was he back that night? As Harmon left Ruth's home, each footfall echoed with renewed determination. The pieces of Amelia's tragic story were unfurling beneath the weight of Ruth's words, illustrating a possible connection that could shatter the stagnation of the case. The sense of urgency took root in Harmon's gut, and with it, a flicker of hope that perhaps the truth would finally be laid bare. The the air in the police station was thick with anticipation as Detective Harmon gathered his team to discuss the newly uncovered lid. Lucas Hale suddenly transformed from a forgotten name into the center of inquiry. His unexpected return to Elderwood and Ruth's chilling account of an argument, laden with emotion and urgency, compelled Harmon to dig deeper into this man's life. Lucas, who had once been an enthusiastic volunteer at the library, had left town shortly after a falling out with Amelia. The details were murky, entangled in whispers of jealousy over her rising prominence in the community. Having been often paired together for library programs, Lucas had viewed Amelia's quiet ambition as a threat rather than inspiration and emotion that festered beneath the surface of their friendship could have turned into something tumultuous. With renewed determination, Harmon and his team pulled together a detailed file on Lucas, digging through old newspaper articles, social media profiles, and local connections that might provide insight into his life since departing Elderwood. A phone call to his last known address revealed an unsettling truth. Lucas had never returned to his prior life. In fact, he had vanished entirely. As the team traced Lucas's movements through a tangle of leads, they uncovered a lead that would lead them to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of a neighboring city. The building, once vibrant with life, now sat as a hollow shell, its windows shattered and walls collapsing under years of neglect. Rumors whispered that Lucas had been seen lurking nearby, drawing a trail that warranted further exploration. With a sense of dread and purpose, Harmon prepared his team for what might await them in that forgotten place. As they left the station, the cold air wrapped around them like a cloak. Each breath expelled a silent prayer that they would finally confront the truth of Amelia's fate. The trial months passed, and the frigid grip of winter reluctantly gave way to the hesitant warmth of spring. Yet the chill in the air within the courthouse was palpable as the trial of Lucas Hale unfolded. The proceedings brought a begrudging attention to a town still grappling with the tragic loss of Amelia Dawson. Seated in the somber courtroom, Detective Harmon observed the tension that held the room captive. Jurors shuffled their papers, witnesses took their seats, and whispers echoed off the wooden walls, each sound a somber reminder of the life stolen from the town. Pervasive sadness layered over anger. A collective trauma echoed among townsfolk who had come to seek justice for a woman whose kindness had been irrevocably snuffed out. The prosecution painted a chilling picture of Lucas Hale as a man driven by jealousy and resentment, a catalyst in an explosive night that turned harrowing. They detailed the events leading up to Amelia's death, each testimony meticulously woven together to reveal a dangerous entanglement of emotions. Ruth's recounting of the argument reverberated throughout the courtroom, lending credibility to the prosecution's claims. As the defense countered, they painted Lucas as a victim of circumstance, arguing that the evidence was circumstantial at best, that he was merely a man caught in unfortunate coincidences. Shadows flitted across the room as emotionless witnesses, and expert testimonies further blurred the lines of guilt and innocence. Harmon felt the weight of the case morph as the days unfolded. The jury's fidgeting revealed the tension under the surface. His heart clenched with each passing moment. They had pursued truth relentlessly, yet the complexity of human emotions left holes in their narrative cold. Did he ever truly convey the sudden darkness that blighted Amelia's vibrant light? As closing arguments loomed, Harmon prepared himself for the worst. The truth was revealed only as well as those who sought it. The deliberation that followed was a crucible into which the hopes of Elderwood were cast, each heartbeat sensing with the ticking clock, echoing a poignant reminder of a life that ended too soon. The aftermath, the gavel fell, and the courtroom reverberated with a heavy, silenced kind that wrapped itself around everyone like a cloak of despair. Lucas Hale was found guilty of second-degree murder, a decision that sent ripples throughout the community of Elderwood. Justice, it seemed, had been served, Yet the end of the trial didn't bring the solace many had anticipated. Instead, it unveiled an uncharted realm of pain and uncertainty. As news broadcasted across the screens of local televisions and echoed through the radio waves, the town emerged from its protective shell, awakening to the realization of loss and grief that would linger like a storm cloud. Amelia Dawson's absence was now cemented in the very fabric of Elderwood, visible in the empty spaces where her laughter once resonated, in the quiet of the library where she had brought countless stories to life. Detective Harmon, while relieved that the case had reached a conclusion, felt an emptiness settle within him. The thrill of the chase was overshadowed by the echo of Amelia's vibrant spirit, forever silenced. Individuals and families began to gather within the library's walls. This sacred place of knowledge and memory became a focal point for healing. Gatherings were organized, and candles were lit in her honor, each flickering flame a testament to the shared love and admiration the town held for her. In hushed tones, stories of Amelia were recounted: her dedication to literacy, her infectious laughter, the warmth she had shared with everyone she encountered. As people shared memories, tears mingled with smiles, offering a glimpse of the light that once radiated from her presence. Though life moved forward, the echoes of that tragic night lingered in the minds of many, a reminder that vulnerability coexisted with strength. The library, once an emblem of solitude, now became a rallying point for resilience, fostering community spirit and nurturing the bonds that had been frayed. As spring melted into summer, Detective Harmon understood that healing would take time. Elderwood would never be the same, but in the heart of the community, the seeds of compassion took root, nurtured by a shared promise to celebrate Amelia's life while ensuring that her legacy would not be forgotten. Reflection. As summer settled over Elderwood, the town appeared to breathe, infused with the warmth of renewal. Yet, in quiet moments, Detective Harmon often found himself standing at the threshold of the library, contemplating the choices made, the lives changed, and the shadows cast by Amelia's untimely death. The library had been transformed from a place of solitary escape into a vibrant community hub. Residents often gathered for book clubs, discussion boards, and memorial services, using the power of literature to foster connection and healing. Harmon would wander through the aisles, tracing the spines of books that had once felt so alive under Amelia's care, now filled with memories of her laughter echoing softly within the pages. He grappled with the fragility of life and the undercurrents of human emotion that had led to a tragic intersection of hope and despair. Amelia's story resonated deeply within him, a poignant reminder of both possibility and peril, a testament to how one person can leave an indelible mark on many lives. With each passing day, he felt the weight lift slowly, a reminder that healing was not linear, but instead a tapestry woven with threads of love, resilience, and collective memory. As Elderwood continued to heal, the aftershocks of that fateful night remained buried in the hearts of those who had loved and cherished Amelia Dawson, lasting echo of a life too soon extinguished, igniting their determination to ensure her legacy endured.